Hello and welcome to an Excel walkthrough of what you are going to do once you have your data. So the goal of today's video is to empower you with simple Excel formulas that you can actually do a lot with, mainly Countif. We are also going to go over how to easily make graphs in Excel and convert percents. In this case, I am going to go ahead and draw from research Dr. Cole and I did together recently. And this is our core research question on the board if you want to pause the video and read that for a moment. And so ultimately, we were measuring change over time. We wanted to set up a baseline. So in the spring, we did a setup poll. Then in the following fall semester, we did a pre-poll and a post-poll. Now today, we are going to zoom in on a small amount of that data, and we are going to take it from there. My goal is to help you avoid some common pitfalls that can just happen primarily from clerical errors, not even math. I'm going to recreate some of those today that if you were present during the lesson, you saw in real time. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that we had this space at the end of this one, but not at the end of this one. So primarily, we will be going over to how we can use Countif and then Countif with a little extra. So some basic Excel, and my goal is to empower you. It doesn't take complicated math to compile a lot of our data. And so even if you don't have much of a background, there are just a few basic tools you can do a lot with. I know because I've done a lot with. All right, well, let's get to it. We'll see that we had a lot of questions, a lot of questions. So one of the things that I was explaining during my class is that you want to make sure the questions that you have are valid. They are within the scope of whatever your project is. If you go above and beyond, remember, you've got to compile the data. And even me, as somebody that deals with math and Excel spreadsheets off and on, it can take a while if you have a lot. And you're thinking about how we construct this data too. In this situation, we're going to see me deal with a select all that applies. When we formulated this, we allowed the students to select more than one option. And as a result, we got to make sure we don't double count that. So there's my kind of setup. What we're going to see today is go through some of the Excel formulas that we went through in class, but in tiny little snippets. So today we're going to be looking at our Countif formula, All right, so you're going to see me go ahead and take this data. We got to go one column at a time, one question at a time. And I don't like doing every single question on the same sheet. So I open myself up a new sheet and copy it over here. All right, so when I look at this data, I know that I want to locate certain answers on this. So I like to use Countif when I'm compiling this type of data. You'll see that Excel will start to, fill it in for you. You can go to your Countif. And there's more than one way to do this. So if you are skilled, there's probably people out in this class that are more skilled at Excel that have different ways of doing this. More power to you. Go ahead and use those. In this case, a good old simple Countif will work. We're going to want to highlight our data set here. We've got it's like 56 responses here, so that is important. We want to make sure that our total number of responses is 56 at the end in our total. So if it's not, then we know we did something wrong. Those are those little checks that we want to incorporate. So A2 through A57 is our data. And if you're using a Countif, you'll follow that up with a comma and then a quotation mark. Now, I want to show you what happens when I type in none there because that is what we were looking at first. And in this case, it only counts one none. And we have a set of data in which it's small enough that we can actually look through here and go, hey, wait, I see none there on line 31, and I see line 12 has none again. So we know something was wrong somewhere. Now, in this scenario, you'll notice that number 12, Also, line number 10, and there's another one. Line number 42, where this was a select all that applies and not a multiple choice. I'm telling you, if you can make a multiple choice, if it will capture the data accurately, efficiently, on target, whatever word you want to say, try to use multiple choice if you want your data to be easier to compile. If you do select all that applies, we got to make sure the students don't double count themselves, and we offset that. In this case, where this is a small manageable set of data, when we're looking at it like this, we can go ahead and account for those students that answered more than one option. So ideally, if let's say you had a huge data set, like thousands of pieces of information, you would want every single possible combination of select all that applies to be able to count it here. For the purposes of today's video, you don't want to see me type all that. And if for some reason you do need it, reach out to me. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and capture. We saw that the only other problem with, or the only other response with none in it was there on line number 12. And we're going to go ahead and count for that. Now, I am going to recreate a tiny little bump in the road that you might see, that you saw me struggle with during today's lesson. This is on purpose to show you how easy it is for a little detail to create an error in your data. Now, I say this as a warning, because most of you all told me today, I don't have my data yet. Great. I'm glad you're watching this, because if you don't have your data yet, you can avoid these common pitfalls I'm getting ready to show you. So one of those common pitfalls is if you can avoid a select all applies, please do. In this case, we want to offset whatever our count is by a factor of half, because if the student answered more than one, we don't want to double count them, and this offsets that. And then we're going to go with another count if, and it will come up again. Same data set. In this case, it's not just none, it is. And I need you to know, copy and paste is your best friend. Once you get a rhythm, get you a little notepad. You'll actually see, look, let me drag it. I keep myself a little notepad with stuff to copy and paste. And then we copy and paste it over each time, and it makes our lives easier. So just put your Countif in there. That way you don't have to keep typing A2 through A57 each time, and so on and so forth. All right, finishing out this, it was that 1 to 2/3 servings and none. You want to make sure you get the word the way it's typed exactly. Space will offset you. Now, there is a scenario in which you can account for variations. I'm going to go over that in a different video. For the purposes of this video, we are just going to look at this version of Countif and how to use it for your data. Now, if you make an error, Excel will let you know. Now, notice my count didn't change here. Whenever I accounted for just none, we got 1. And this is one of those errors I was like during a lesson where this is a data set that I did back in the spring. And it's very easy to forget the tiny little things that cause the bump in the road. And here you'll notice lines 10, line 12, and the other one on down, there's an enter here. And when you're doing a Countif, we've got to have it, we can't have an enter in our line. And we've got to have whatever we're counting looking exactly like what it's listed. So sometimes we have to correct our data. If you're still creating your surveys, if you're missing surveys, go ahead and do yourself a favor and make sure that you don't have little corrections like this. All right, so those are corrected. They're all on one line. And now we can go over here and go, well, there's a space on either side, and that will count it. And voila, we have 1.5 as our count. And now this is where I just keep on keeping on, and I will literally copy and paste this and then change the information. It is important we need to change it. So in this case, we're not caring about none. We care about 1 to 2 servings. So again, copy and paste is your best friend. I tried to manually type these today whenever I was teaching, and I mean, I just bumbled around because the space can make all the difference. So you're going to see. Go ahead and take this Countif off for a moment. we're dealing with just the 1 to 2 servings here, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there. Notice it's 0. But we can clearly see there was 1 to 2 servings over here. And then during the lesson, I was like, what is going on? And I looked here and I highlighted this and I went up here and you'll notice there is a singular space after that option. And that is something that right now, if you can avoid unnecessary spaces at the end of your data, less likely to create those stumbling points. So that's why I created this video today. We want those stumbling points to not be there when you compile your data. It's not hard to compile your data for as long as you have clean, clear data to compile. And the real world happens every now and then, so there's a mistake, and we can offset that. Now here, I know I have 1 to 2 servings in combination. And again, we only had 3 people who, yes, we only had 3 people who answered more than one. And we can see what those combinations are. So I'm just going to account for the other combination here. Now, there are other two combinations in which 1 to 2 servings pops up. And so you're going to see that there's actually a third count we'll have to do here. So I'm going to redo the count. If we are going to add on to, we're going to put a 0.5 factor. Now, if students answered more than 2, it'd be a 1/3 factor or 0.3 repeating. We have to, if they counted 4, it'd be a 1/4 factor or 0.25. Where we didn't have any students that answered more than 2 in this case, so we only have to have that factor of 0.5. And as you get more familiar with your data, this is going to become easier. So we're going to put our Countif in there, and in this case, it's the same data, but with slightly different sentence. In this case, it's the 1 to 2 servings. So we're going to come over here, the 1 to 2 servings to the 3 to 5 servings. We're going to come over here and put that in here. And again, a space can make all the difference. And we want to make sure we have all of our parentheses matched up. And looks like we don't. And sometimes when we type these in, there's a little error and we got to find it. I didn't put my multiplication between the 0.5 and Countif. You'll notice there is a space that's at the end. And now we've got that combination. But notice there was another combination with our Countif. Now again, copy and paste is your friend, but we do have to be careful and make sure you don't double count. We do have to modify. So looking here, we are now moving on to the 1 to 2 servings and the none option. Again, we want to only count half of it. And that will go in here, just like that. 1 to 2 servings and none. And that didn't capture it because there is, on this one, there is no space at the end, if you'll see that. So that was something that can cause a headache. Sometimes there's a space at the end, sometimes there's not. And now it counts it. We have our 4 responses. You're just going to keep going through and keep doing this for each of these. So I'm going to go ahead and end the Countif video here. The main ideas are: make sure your data is clean if you're making it now. Make sure there are no unnecessary spaces. If you are math phobic, that is okay. If you don't need a select all that applies, it's going to make your life a lot easier. Multiple choice. But if you need select all applies, don't worry. This video, what you just learned today, should help you in that. And if not, always feel free to reach out to me. All right, please be on the lookout for the next video that is going to help you compile your data with a slightly different method. And how to make graphs in Excel. All right, thank you so much for your time.